On Chapter 26. Here's the reason. At this point in time, we've talked about this hierarchy of life. We have gone from the smallest component up to the point where we were at the cell. Okay? And everything's going to come back to the cellular level. As we talked about all of these parts of the class at this molecular level, we covered the biological molecules. We talked about sugars, lipids. We talked about all these different molecules that are important for actually making the cells of the body. One of the things that we know, we have to get our energy. We do not make it. So the only way for us to keep the cells, I guess, function, and I was really glad to see quite a few of the answers included the term homeostasis. Okay? When you were talking to me about the selectively permeable membrane, some of you used that term, and I was really glad to see that. So it seems fitting that we now talk about how we feed these cells, how we get the materials that are needed to make these cells run. Because our next chapter starts us into the systems. We'll start with that integumentary system, and we're going to be going from that point forward. So we're going to look at what's nutrition, what's metabolism, what's regulating my temperature. All of these are contributing to the homeostasis of our cells. Now, this one right here, nutrition. Well, I'm going to really show my age here. All right? Now, I remember when it was the food pyramid, okay? Rather simple, all right? Got to remember, I grew up when a lot of food that we got was still farmed, okay? I can remember that, when I was little, the grocery store was where you went to maybe go get flour, sugar, that sort of thing. The rest of the time, you had to go work the crops. You had to have the eggs delivered. You got the milk delivered. These were the types of things that I grew up with. So nutrition for me was much different than nutrition for you, okay? But when you hear that term, nutrition, what does it bring to mind?
Nutrients.
Nutrients. Anything else?
Food.
Food.
Food that you need that's important.
Okay, food that you might need that's going to be important to your body. And thinking of it in those terms, food that you might need that's important to your body, who determined that that was the food that was important to your body? They. Okay? Somewhere, somebody, people in a room, they decided that there was some type of criteria that put together our nutrition. Here's the problem. The nutrition that you have of today is in no way comparable to the nutrition I had growing up. Okay? We have stripped the soils of their nutrients. Food that is produced does not contain the nutrients that are needed. A lot of the food that you now consume has been packaged industrial, agriculturally grown. Things have been added to it that your body cannot even recognize. Okay? Now, under this guideline of nutrition, and I'm sure y'all have grown up in school teaching you about the nutrition and teaching you about environmental problems and teaching you about the agriculture, teaching you about the GMOs, all the water pollution, soil pollution, all this sort of stuff. Okay? Sure you've all heard that. Now, in all of that, one thing is we have over 7 billion people to feed on the planet Earth. No matter how you cut that number, that's too many. All right? We have no choice but to mass produce the foods that we do have. Okay? So therefore, our nutrition is not complete. All right? We try to make sure that we do other things to make our nutrition complete. But when we look at foodstuffs, okay, because that's what we're doing. We're looking at foodstuffs that we take in, where we take in veggies, fruits, meats, fats. We take it in. It is to give this energy to our body. Now, what that means, okay, what that means, we need to provide the body with the materials such as the sugars, the fats, the proteins, and the ability at the cellular level for it to be used to produce ATP. That is the crux of what we're looking at, okay? We need it to produce ATP, and we need it to build proteins. That is why we're needing the foodstuffs. We cannot do this, all right? We are not autotrophs. Our foodstuffs, we classify into the carbs, proteins, lipids, but something else that is, I don't know if I really call it a foodstuff. I guess, it just depends on how you look at it. We do require water, okay? We are a living organism. Living organisms have to have water. We're going to find we need vitamins, minerals. Now, both of these we only need in small amounts. However, due to the foodstuffs that we now have to consume, for the most part, a lot of us take a supplement. All right? Anybody in here take a supplement? Have you ever looked at the amounts of the materials in the supplements versus what your body needs? The vitamins and the minerals. Yeah.
It's like 200%.
All right, you see stuff. 500%, 200%, blah, blah, blah. Why?
Your body doesn't absorb.
Your body does not absorb it. It's not in the natural state, i.e., a food that has absorbed it through the roots that we have consumed, okay? We don't have that anymore. I don't care how you look at whatever they add to the soil, you cannot add to the soil that the plant's going to take up that you can eat and have what you need. It doesn't happen, okay? Now, we need these in small amounts, but the synthetic that has been created, we can't metabolize. This is why we have to take a huge amount in the hopes that the body's going to absorb the very tiny portion that it needs. The rest of it is excreted out. We simply urinate or defecate the materials out. The USDA recommends what we should take in as our foodstuffs. They tell us what to take in, how much to take in, how much to drink, blah, blah, blah. They go, this is what you need. And if you do this, you're a healthy individual. How many of you all follow that guideline? Yeah, no. Okay, chances are we can say, I don't need a healthy, balanced diet. All right? Chances are we can all say that. Here's the thing. When it comes down to our foodstuffs, we're going to find that for our body, we're going to have materials that are going to be essential. Ever seen the cereals or the boxes of stuff that contains the following essential nutrients? This is what they're talking about, okay? They're letting you know that it's going to contain a nutrient that the body in no way can actually make. We have to consume it, all right? Now, we have to have certain amino acids, certain fatty acids, almost every single vitamin that the body needs and mineral needs to be consumed. All right? Without the proper amounts of every bit of this, materials in the body are not going to function correctly, i.e. proteins. Proteins, hello, they're doing everything in the body, okay? And without some of the certain amino acids, for example, they can't be made. Without some of the vitamins and minerals, they can't function. Now, if that's the case, and if the body is dependent on these proteins, that's letting you know right now that that protein that needs to work is not. All right? Leads to deficiency disorders of numerous amounts. Our food, every bit of it, carries a certain amount of energy. And a lot of times we tend to focus on that energy because it's in the form, or told to us, in the form of calories. Why do we focus on calories? Oh, what? It has 500 calories? I can't eat that. Why? Because you should only take in a certain amount a day. The body's going to absorb it. If it's not utilized, it's going to turn into fat. And society has told us that's wrong. Right? Right. So, we're told that energy in our food is in the form of calories. It's actually in the form of kilocalories. People wouldn't be able to understand that concept. Now, as we look at these foodstuffs that the USDA tells us that we need. Yes, one that a lot of people tend to be like, oh my goodness, you're eating that with so much sugar in it? Okay, come on now. If you're going to use the energy, great, okay? It's when you don't use those calories, use that energy, that it becomes a problem. But sugars are very important. Why?
Makes energy. Simplest form of energy.
The simplest one makes energy. The simplest form is glucose. Why do we need tons of glucose for the body?
ATP training.
It's going to make energy in the form of ATP, but there is one organ of the body, the brain, that can only utilize glucose. It cannot utilize anything else. It cannot utilize a fat nor a protein